Starting with Jon, domestic disturbance Jones versus Tom, the English Hope Aspinall. Jones took this fight purely to avoid looking like a complete bitch, and because Dana White probably threatened to release security footage of Jones having a late-night sparring session with his wife. Jones is relying on the fact that English wrestling is about as useful as an inflatable dartboard or Brendan Schaub's stand-up comedy special. His plan? Knee stomp Tom's ACL into oblivion, grapple fuck him to death, and coast into another arrogant victory. But Tom Aspinall isn't just another Englishman. This man has the agility of a goddamn middleweight, crisp boxing that makes Anthony Joshua look like he learned striking at Walmart, and actual KO power. If Aspinall wins, it's by sending Jon's head skyrocketing into the cheap seats like a foul ball at a baseball game. Imagine the scenes. Fans losing their absolute shit, flipping tables, grown men drop-kicking their own grandmothers, and Dana White spontaneously combusting from excitement. But if we're being real for a second, Jones probably wrestles Tom into the shadow realm, sucking the life out of the fight faster than a vegan at a barbecue. Aspinall's main issue is defensive grappling. If Jones manages to get him down and control him, we're looking at 25 minutes of soul-draining wrestling domination. Yet, hope springs eternal. Maybe Tom lands a perfectly timed uppercut just as Jones ducks in for a takedown, causing Jon's mouthguard to launch into orbit, knocking Elon Musk's Tesla Roadster off course. Either way, shit is guaranteed to get real. Now let's talk about Alex Stonehands Pereira and Magomed Dagestani Crusher Ankalaev. Pereira is basically the human embodiment of a sledgehammer wrapped in Brazilian tattoos, known for sending grown men into deep REM sleep without a bedtime story. His problem, however, is grappling defense, which last time against Ankalaev looked about as effective as Conor McGregor's drug testing protocol. Big Ank, on the other hand, has wrestling and pressure so intense it makes Khabib look like a pacifist yoga instructor. Ankalaev will look to do exactly what he did last time. Clinch, trip, drown Alex in a suffocating blanket of Dagestani ground control, and turn this fight into the most miserable viewing experience since Tyron Woodley's rap career. But let's dream together. Imagine Pereira survives 4 grueling rounds of Russian smothering, fans around the arena visibly aging, crying, cursing at their TVs. And then, in the dying moments, he pulls out a spinning wheel kick from literal hell, landing flush and launching Ankalaev's limp body straight through the cage fence. Ankalaev's body ragdolls so violently it triggers car alarms outside. The Octagon girls faint simultaneously, and Bruce Buffer screams himself unconscious. Dana White, overcome by sheer amazement, immediately signs a $500 million lifetime deal with Pereira on the spot. Realistically, Pereira needs to control distance, land those crushing calf kicks, keep Ank away at all costs, and clip him early. Ankalaev, meanwhile, simply needs to close distance, drag Alex down, and remind everyone why grappling always ruins kickboxers' days. Onward to Islam's sleep aid Makhachev versus Ilya, Georgian dynamite Topuria. Islam is basically Dagestan's perfected MMA robot prototype, takedowns, trips, wrestling, and boring domination. Topuria, meanwhile, is a compact, angry-as-fuck killing machine who's willing to violently separate Islam's consciousness from his physical body. On paper, Islam has every advantage needed to nullify Ilya's aggression: judo throws, slick wrestling setups, and oppressive top control. However, Topuria has exactly the type of power, speed, and mentality that can crack Islam's chin harder than a baseball bat swung by Mark McGuire in 1998. Topuria's best chance: continuous pressure, calf kicks to Islam's lead leg, and high-volume boxing combinations. If Topuria can force Islam backwards, Islam's wrestling becomes predictable and easier to defend. But Islam's judo is a secret weapon. Just when you think you've avoided his wrestling double leg, he clinches and sends you airborne with a perfectly executed hip toss. Imagine Topuria slipping out of Islam's clinch, stepping back, then unleashing an overhand right that hits Islam's chin so cleanly he spins around like a cartoon character, slamming face first into the canvas, while Joe Rogan ascends straight to heaven, screaming at octaves only dogs can hear. But if we're being realistic, Islam probably systematically dismantles Ilya round by round, controlling him on the mat, breaking him mentally, physically, and spiritually, causing the crowd to start openly weeping from sheer boredom. But just imagine for one glorious moment, Topuria lands that magical knockout shot, sending Islam's lifeless body to bounce around the octagon like a defective crash test dummy, while Khabib in the audience breaks into inconsolable tears, renouncing fighting and becoming a Tibetan monk immediately afterward. Let's go even deeper into pure fan fiction dreamland. Aspinall, limping and exhausted, down badly on points, suddenly sees Jon Jones overcommit to an oblique kick. Tom bites his mouthguard, plants his injured leg firmly, and throws the most perfect uppercut ever recorded by human eyes. Boom! Jones's head cleanly detaches from his body, sailing out of the cage and directly into the cheap seats, where a fan in pure excitement headbutts his beer-drinking buddy into a coma. Daniel Cormier spontaneously cries tears of pure joy and sadness simultaneously. Joe Rogan screams so loud he breaks the sound barrier, and Herb Dean just stands there with his jaw open, completely forgetting to stop the fight. Now picture Pereira, down badly, exhausted and dominated. Suddenly, he summons every ounce of Brazilian warrior spirit in him, launches a perfect spinning wheel kick and connects right to Ankalaev's temple. Ankalaev ragdolls harder than an NPC in GTA after getting nuked, his unconscious body slamming violently into the cage and falling into Dana White's lap, causing Dana to spontaneously combust into flames of shock and joy. Alex Pereira is raised above the cage by Brazilian fans like a national treasure, as people around the world start violently throwing household items out of sheer disbelief and celebration. And finally, Topuria. After enduring 3 rounds of Dagestani domination, something snaps. Islam lazily clinches and Ilya rips a thunderous left hook from hell, separating Islam from consciousness mid-air. Islam's body flops lifelessly onto the canvas. Fans around the arena riot out of sheer ecstasy, throwing chairs, small children, and entire concession stands in celebration. Topuria stands on the cage wall screaming like a victorious gladiator as casuals weep, hardcore fans collapse from sheer adrenaline overload, and Henry Cejudo cries tears of joy, declaring himself Georgian for life. Folks, these fights are the pure, unfiltered chaos we all secretly yearn for. Violence, madness, and improbable knockouts. If the MMA gods truly love us, we'll get these outcomes. Until then, let's keep praying to the altar of sweet, beautiful violence, because this sport never fails to amaze, disgust, and enthrall us in equal measure.